1, 2,
Welcome to the Mental Reps podcast, featuring your host, Brian Wright.
And then when they got Adam Gase as their coach, I mean, after what we went through with him, I was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? What made you...
I laughed so hard.
Our guest this episode is comedian and actor Josh Potter.
To the point where I'm like, give him a lifetime contract. This is the best football coach I've ever had in the AFC East. I love it. Fucking sign him forever. Keep him on the team. He is the worst coach. I loved when you guys had him. He ruined Tannehill.
This week's episode is sponsored by the Field Irish Pub Eatery, a little piece of island in South Florida, as well as elite sanitizing services, keeping South Florida clean and in business.
Brian Flores had to come in and tear the entire team down to the studs. And then the Jets were like, we want that to happen to our team.
Now fade out that fresh as beat, and let's get this bitch on the road.
Welcome to Mental Reps Podcast. I'm Brian Wright. Hello. Hope you're happy and healthy. Thanks so much for listening, watching, sharing with your friends. Honestly, I just thank you so damn much for that. Sorry about the move of the Facebook pages. There was a way to merge the two, but due to like a very long, drawn-out reason, I thought we just needed to start out fresh. So thanks so much for making that move to the new Facebook page. It's easy to find if you search for us. Same for Instagram, Twitter, and the YouTube channel. Thank you also, everyone, for your orders on mentalreps.net. We announced last week that we're giving 50% of the proceeds from the podcast, specifically the merch sales, on mentalreps.net to this amazing nonprofit called Neighbors for Neighbors. I just really appreciate what they do. They're there at the front lines, ready to help when fate calls for people who are in need. So I just really appreciate that, and I want to help them in every way I can. So every time that you buy a Mental Reps t-shirt, a face mask, or whatever, 50 cents of every dollar profit we generate is going to Neighbors for Neighbors. Really appreciate all that you guys are doing. We have some really fun events planned as well in the future. Can't wait to share with you. Greatly appreciate if you go pick something up. Again, mentalreps.net. My guest today is a really funny comedian. You could call him an actor, hailing out of Buffalo, New York. Currently resides in that cesspool, otherwise known as modern day LA. Started working his way up in radio in Buffalo, which kind of parlayed into stand-up. He opened up for Tom Segura, and later on he asked him to open up for him in Orlando. The rest is history, as you could say. He's been working hard out on the road, opening up for some of the best comics on the planet. And he's a producer for Your Mom's House. Also got his own brand new podcast on the Your Mom's House network called The Josh Potter Show, formerly known as The Roach Motel. But I think like Raid or some fucking company had already The Roach Motel. Long story, but he's a hell of a guy. I think you'll find he's really likable. We talked some sports in the beginning. He's a Buffalo Bills fan, so I had to give him some shit about that. But then it opened up to radio, comedy, whole lot more after that. So kick up the feet, pour a cold one, go find your lighter, enjoy my little jam session here with the human cockroach himself, Josh Potter. But first, wouldn't you know, South Florida's authentic Irish pub and eatery, The Field, aka my Graceland, is an official sponsor of Mental Reps Podcast. Just go to thefieldfl.com, enter codeword REPS20 for 20% off your entire online order. Go get that shit. That's 20% off your food tonight. I fucks hard with The Field. This is where I go if I need to forget about all the nonsense going on in this damn world. Pretend like I'm on an Irish hillside somewhere in Dublin. It really is like a little freaking piece of Ireland right here in South Florida. The best staff you could possibly ask for. They're all walking around speaking Irish, telling lies. Full bars, amazing Guinness on tap. They got the Smithwick's, Jameson, flowing like wine as usual. Plus, of course, authentic Irish-American cuisine. You got your shepherd's pie, bangers and mash, the corned beef, the cabbage, Irish potato soup. But if you're super picky, no excuses. They have steaks, chops, fresh seafood, vegan options. So no excuses for all your fedora-wearing friends, all right? They got it all. Plus, live music Tuesday through Sunday. Again, if you're staying in, no problem. Just go to thefieldfl.com and enter codeword REPS20 for 20% off your entire online order. Also, here's another great company run by amazing people. If you're looking for local sanitizing services here in South Florida, call ESS, Elite Sanitizing Services. They're state licensed and insured, offering local sanitizing services, which kill 99.9% of all the bacteria and viruses, including COVID-19. They actually provided their services to the field. Again, super safe and clean. If you need to keep your property, employees, customers safe and virus-free, let them help keep you in business, keep your employees working. They offer services for schools, churches, medical facilities, offices, aircrafts, yachts, public transportation, restaurants, gyms, homes, vehicles, and a lot more. It's kind of like you're running them through a big Purell machine. And now they're offering free sanitizing to vehicles of all first responders and medical professionals, which I just think is like a really cool thing for them to do. So please give them a call, 1-800-763-4299. Visit them at elitesanitize.com or email them at info@elitesanitize.com. Elite Sanitizing Services, keeping South Florida safe and in business. All right. The bills are paid. Buckle up, bitches. It's time for Josh Potter. Welcome to Mental Reps Podcast. I'm joined by comedian, actor Josh Potter. What's up, brother? How you doing, dude?
What's up, actor? I never got that one before.
You've been a little act. Well, for the record, it shows on Google, and when you search your name, it says actor, not comedian.
Really?
Yeah.
Actor. That's cool.
Interesting.
News to me.
Yeah, dude. Well, you're looking like a young Stephen King, brother. I love it. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing all right. How you doing? I like your. What bar is that in your background?
This is The Field. Okay, this is my sponsor. It's an Irish pub down here in South Florida. And it's like, dude, you walk in and the floors creak, like my buddy Toe says. It's like a banyan tree out front. They got all these Irish people that work there. So it's like authentic as fuck. It's great.
It looks like an Irish bar that I grew up near named Brennan's, but it looks just like it. It's so weird. All Irish bars, it's like, yeah, that's an Irish bar.
Yeah,
sure.
dude.
You can tell.
All Irish pubs are supposed to look a little alike, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, dude, let me see. Well, I won't say. I was about to ask you to see them shoulders because I'm not far behind you with the shoulder hair, bro. Let me see.
Compare.
Let me make sure that it's you. Oh shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
See,
it's tough, man.
I'm on my way. Not quite there yet. But
I mean, we're not even like fully out here. Like the whole thing is, it gets worse.
Dude, I have ear hair now. That's a really cool new development.
I keep pulling like one long one every now and then. I'll pluck one out, you know, or like one that like grows off the top. You're like, what in the fuck? Like, am I an elf or something? Like, and you just pick it out.
I know, man.
know?
It's like I am losing it up top. I'm getting it on the ears and the shoulders. Yeah. It's like
why is God so cruel?
He's so cruel, dude. And I don't know why, like, he feels like he has to do that, like maybe to humble us or some shit. It fucking works though, man, because it's like, God damn. That I just had to shave it because it's look in the mirror when you're trying to part it over. And like you got that spot opening up and you're just like, if I could just cover. That's why I'm like, fuck this, dude. What am I, like Kornhauser? Like, I'm just going to do a comb over now. Fuck this. I can't do it.
Yeah, mine started going like backwards. So I had like emo bangs before. And then I just had a picture the other day. A guy shared a picture of me at like a NASCAR race. I put it on my Instagram. It was from 2006, and my hair is like straight up. I look like I'm in the band Train or some shit. Like my hair is like wavy. It's so crazy. I'm like, if I had that hair right now, I would just like run. I would just be the new Dalia. I mean, I would have just stepped right in. I'm like, what's up?
Yeah,
he's gone. Up? I'll fuck all the old bitches. I don't care. I don't give a shit how old you are in terms of the top age. You know, I have no limits upwards. Limits downwards, obviously, but not upwards.
Dude, I tell my girl, I'm like, oh my God, I used to have the most beautiful hair, man. And it's all gone. It's like, I had fucking waves in that shit. It was. Are you in Nashville right now?
Yeah.
Okay, you're out there for comedy, right?
Yeah. I had a show here last night. Tonight I have a show in Alabama.
Oh.
So I'm just staying here, and then we're going to dip to the show and dip back over this way. So
that's right. They're not that far away, are they?
Yeah, it's almost 2 hours. I think it's like a 2 hour drive or something like that. So right now it's 3 something here. We're gonna leave at like 4 something. So
you were,
and then
no, go ahead.
We'll see. And then just to keep myself in the more in the coronavirus out of the fray, and also I'm staying in like one hotel room as opposed to like bouncing around or whatever. So
That makes sense. That fucking makes sense.
Mhm.
You're in LA full time now, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean that's where I live. Yeah,
How you digging it out there?
I mean, it used to be cool. It was
I
a
was
lot.
gonna
Honestly, it was like a lot of fun until
all this shit
this
hit.
all went down, and now I don't even like. I've only lived there for 3 years, so I mean, this is like a third of my experience now with the city. But when I first got there, it was beautiful, and it was something that I like. I was like, man, you go up in the mountains and shit, and see like the houses, and you're like fantasize about like wanting to live in the hills, and then you go to Santa Monica, see all the beautiful homes on the beach. And now it's just like, yeah, all those things are there, but then like right outside of them there's like tent encampments that make it look like you're in a third world country. I feel like this isn't even America. It's like,
Dude,
and you feel bad for these people. I don't want them to like ship them away or whatever, but what are we supposed to do? Like it's just a situation that's getting gnarly. I mean, I don't know.
And it's like a big reason is that they can't do like their smack and shit in like the homeless shelter, right? That's why they pretty much want to stay outside because there are a lot of
killing it.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're like, why
they really
go
do.
in there?
Like it's all
Beautiful weather,
mental illness and drugs. Like they can build all the housing things that they want, and they're just going to be like, why? I'm not going in there. I'm going to go. They even let them do drugs in those places. So there's like a controversial thing about that, but they do let them, I believe, in some of them. But I mean, for the most part, honestly, if you ever talk to these people, they're like, why have a house? You're the idiot, not me.
Dude.
I'm living in the same hood as you, and I pay nothing. Look, I have a tent.
I got
right
oceanfront property, bro. Like,
yeah.
Can you see? Yeah, dude. That makes. Well, see, that's the thing, man. I know a lot of people. There's like this mass exodus out of LA right now, but I see like there are people who are sticking around. I heard that Tom and Christina were thinking about going out to Austin with Joe. Are you gonna follow them out there? Are you sticking in LA? What's your plan?
I mean, I don't know if they have like made that a permanent, like not a permanent, but like a definite.
Yeah.
I have no idea if they've made that a definite choice or not. So waiting to see, I guess. And then I guess I'll make a move based on that and go from there,
Copy that. Well,
I'm from Buffalo. Yeah. I mean, I moved to LA for opportunity. I didn't move to LA for, I mean, are you guys proud of that song?
Dude, we've had it since like I think it's 68 or something.
We've had the same
like
song
that.
since the 60s. Ours is cool though. You guys, we have like cool black men that sing our song, like the Temptations. You guys have like fucking some
we
cable
tried
shit.
We tried to redo it and we got T-Pain to do it. It was like Miami Dolphins with the greatest football team. It was like fucking horrible. Everybody was like, get that shit out of there. It was literally at the games. I remember people being like, ugh, and just they petitioned to get the old one back. We fucking love it, dude. I mean, tradition. It's like,
yeah, tradition. I'm
it.
just saying, I'm happy that my tradition doesn't involve like a Saturday morning cartoon song. That's all.
Oh, well, yeah, I know. I would rather my tradition involve Super Bowls and stuff.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, or we could have just not made it to the Super Bowl like you guys in those years, We could have lost in the AFC Championship. I don't know. It's up to you, whichever one you choose. Marino, I mean, good job, Marino. How many Super Bowls did he win?
Dude, it's a real source of contention, man. It's like I have a hard time sleeping sometimes at night just thinking about it. It makes me sad. But I know that I mean I got love for Jim Kelly. He's a Canes guy, and obviously a very good dude. I mean, I got to annoy you a little bit, bro.
No. I probably have more love for. This is going to sound weird as a Bills fan and a diehard one at that, but I probably have more love for Marino than I do for Jim Kelly. Talking from a personal level. Sorry, I keep getting phone calls. Jim Kelly's just kind of an asshole. Like if you live in the town, you come across him. Yeah, I always wondered that about Dan Marino. He seems way cooler. Like
yeah, people say that about him down here too. Like I mean, whenever I met him, he was cool, and I've heard lots of good things about. He's got a great foundation, the family, and everything. But some people sit there and say like he's a total douchebag. He treated me like shit. Like I don't know what to believe. All I can go off of what I've seen.
Is there any rumor from back in the like? I know obviously Marino is like linked to Coke from like the tumble in the draft that he had, which obviously makes him a Miami Dolphin for you guys. So you
For
don't care about
sure.
that. But I always thought that was like a cool one, and we all know Jim Kelly
Yeah.
was definitely doing Coke. I mean, they all were doing Coke back then. Let's be fucking honest.
Yeah.
But like, we'd hear ugly things about like cops being called to the Kelly residence for a little bit of a domestic situation, that kind of
Wow.
stuff. So,
Okay.
and then they came out and admitted it in a book, but all was forgiven because they found Jesus.
Oh, that makes so much sense, and that connects a few dots because I recognize like they're all about like Bible thumping and whatnot whenever he's talking, and I was like, okay,
Yeah, everything's about Jesus now. Since
interesting.
Hunter's passed and they found the Lord because Hunter lived for so long he wasn't supposed to. So
Okay.
now he regrets doing blow and beating his wife and stuff.
Oh shit. Well, listen, dude,
Yeah.
whatever it takes to get you there, I guess. But like all I
I
know
suppose.
is but
My personal interactions with him were always like I'd produce like a radio commercial for him, and like I'd have to be like, "All right, Jim, can we take it from the?" And he would just be like such a prick to anybody. I mean, like anybody who was considered like an underling, he wasn't like exactly nice to.
fuck that. I don't like that at
Yeah.
all. When I hear that shit, I'm like, dude, all it takes is me. I go out to dinner with you and I see how you treat the server, and that tells me a lot about you. Like,
Yeah, a
if you
few
think that
servers have a few stories out this way.
Yeah,
or
dude.
back in Buffalo.
You think that you can talk down to people like that, then that just tells me pretty much everything I need to know about you. Well, we also have a mutual distaste for Tom Brady too. I guess we can kind of,
Yeah, but now that he's
vibe on
gone,
that.
aren't you kind of like he's like a different person to me now? Like it's like, oh, look at old Tom down there in Tampa Bay. Like I don't really give a shit what he's doing these days. Now it's still Belichick. Like I
Yeah.
really like everyone's like, oh, the Patriots suck. This is awesome. I'm like 4D chess on this guy. Like fuck, he knew it was going to be a COVID year. Cam got COVID. He didn't care. He put Cam in as like a prove me wrong contract with a minimal 1 year thing. He told Jarrett Stidham like, this isn't going to be real. Just sit down. You don't want to play this year anyway. I've got everyone opting out. Next year's the real season. So they're going to either like tank far enough to get Trevor Lawrence, or they're going to tank far enough to get someone really good. And then Jarrett Stidham is going to do another 20 years to us like Tom Brady did. That's my fear. That's like my nightmare I have every day.
Bro, I heard that Sunshine from Clemson, Trevor Lawrence, he said that he's not going to the Jets. He's like, fuck
exactly.
that.
So
I'm not going there.
That's what makes me scared.
Yeah, that made me feel a little bit better until I thought about the other places he might land, and then that place maybe being the Patriots. I'm like,
I say send him
it,
to the
Belichick.
Jets.
I swear to God. What'd you say?
I say send him to the Jets. They're a fucking dumpster. They're not building that shit back up anytime soon.
Dude, Darnold, I was like, when he got drafted, I was like, R.I.P., dude. R.I.P. I'm so sorry, dude. And then when they got Adam Gase as their coach, I mean, after what we went through with him, I was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? What made you like? I think that was at all a good idea.
I laughed so hard, like to the point where I'm like, in this whole season, I'm like, give him a lifetime contract. This is the best football coach I've ever had in the AFC East. I love it. I mean, go Jets with this fucking Adam Gase move. Fucking sign him forever. Keep him on the team. He is the worst coach. I loved when you guys had him. He ruined Tannehill. Brian Flores had to come in and tear the entire team down to the studs.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Jets were like, we want that to happen to our team now. That's what they said essentially by what did they see in Adam Gase where they're like, come on over here. He's a division rival that they got to stomp on for the 3-4 years that he was there.
I've been in radio down here in South Florida for about a decade. Well, up until about recently, we'll get more into that in a little bit. But I had a buddy, Richard Antoni, I believe his last name was, and he's a big Jets fan. And I remember being working the same day he was, and I was wearing my Dolphins gear, and he was wearing his Jets gear, and the news broke, and I met him in the hallway just as like a chance like encounter. And I just looked at him and he looked down, and I just like started laughing so hard. He's like, fuck you, bro. Fuck you. I don't know why my team keeps doing this to me. I don't know why they have to put me through this shit. I'm like, bro, what's sad is that we are in the same boat pretty much. Like Dolphins, Jets, Buffalo fans, going up and down, really not done anything in the last several decades. Like the Jets have the Joe Namath like pointing when he runs off the field. We have our perfect season. You guys, although you didn't win, but you had the back with Kelly in the early 90s. And
We had you and the Dolphins and the Bills had the 90s. I mean, the 90s were like the Bills and the Dolphins constantly going at it, constantly in the playoffs. I mean, like, we went to the Super Bowl, we faced you, and I don't remember how many AFC championships, at least one, I know. And then, you know, we eliminated Marino from the playoffs on other occasion, I think, too, like different rounds. Yeah. But we at least had that. You know, like you look at it for the last 20 years, though, and with the Patriots being what they were, the rest of us, I mean, the Bills, there were seasons where the Bills were like 10-6, 9-7, nothing crazy, and it sucked. But if that was in the NFC East, we would have made the playoff. You know what I'm saying? Like, I look at those other divisions. I mean, a couple of times during those years, even in the
like NFC South, it's or NFC West. It's
like, the NFC West was
Christ.
In the mid. I mean, now the NFC West, one of the most competitive divisions in the league. But at the time, like back in the mid 2000s, it was like there was teams that were making the playoffs with worse records than the Bills had, and maybe the Dolphins too. I mean, during those, I guess
there were some years where the Cardinals
like
got
the
in
Matt
like
Moore years you had
7-9. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, sure. And like we had that run of quarterbacks. We had like Kelly Holcomb, and then we had fucking, I don't even remember, like we had one of those Jersey situations where it got crazy, and it ended with Fitzpatrick ends that for a team. He really does. He's like the clog. He's like supposed to be the next guy on the list. He clogs it up. He'll get you some W's, and then you can plan behind him. You know what I'm saying? That's what he's done for all of us, by the way. The Bills, the Jets, the Dolphins. Like, he has been the guy that's come in and like given that little stop that like flooding at least, or that little put the finger in the dam as far as the quarterback success or lack thereof, I should say.
I got so much respect for that guy and what he's able to do. I completely agree with you. And actually, you know, maybe we'll save some of that. I want to talk about sports a little bit more later on, but I wanted to ask you, like, maybe get your insight. We got hit pretty hard by the pandemic down here and radio in general. I mean, I like imagine. 3/4 of my friends in radio are jobless now, and it's
what
a
company?
Real Intercom. So people are like, if they didn't diversify their bonds and start doing other shit, which thankfully I have done, I never fully relied or put all my eggs in the radio basket as much as I fucking love it. And I'd love to.
Yeah.
I just think it was wise not to. And I kind of started doing some other things. I've always been doing some other things, but tell me about WEDG, like Shred and Reagan show, and your whole past. Like, I know that you were in radio for a long time. You kind of parlayed that into a podcast now, but tell me about your old buddies. Are they still on the air? Tell me about your past, all that good stuff.
Well, as far as I know, the station I used to work for, 103.3 The Edge, minorly affected, maybe more in the corporate area, but it's, as far as the staff goes, I think everyone on air-wise is still retained. I'm trying, because they had, at the time, our program director, like when I left, we had 4 guys on the morning show, a midday guy, an afternoon girl. I did nights. So I was on morning show, and I voice tracked nights. So that saves them a spot. Then the program director of the station was doing middays. Okay. So at the beginning of COVID, our program director, the guy that I've worked with for 15 years or whatever, I can't believe he left. He moved to a bigger market within the company. Like, the company transferred him to a bigger market. So that opened up another spot in Buffalo. And now one of the producers, the main producer, the executive producer of the morning show, is doing middays. And the guy who took over for me on the morning show, who I hope he's still on I'm pretty certain he still works there, but I don't know if it's like a part-time thing. I know they furloughed some people for a little while, but he's still doing nights. So, I mean, the staff is small. The on-air staff is small. But by comparison to a lot of other stations, it's massive. Some stations have nobody on air. But for what the format is, and comparatively in the cluster, like, so we've got 4, then the classic rock station's got like 4 too. And Everyone has production duties. I had six jobs. I feel like I had.
Mhm.
I was production assistant. I was um, morning show producer. I was on air talent on the morning show and at night, and imaging director. I had like 9 different
Wow.
titles. None of them equated to more money
No,
ever for
yeah, it's funny how that works, isn't it?
any reason. So I think that's kind of how it's been going. I mean, good for them. I'm happy that they all still have it. I don't think I would have, because I was making, I think, more money than the guy who took over for me.
Hmm.
Um, so I honestly think like if I was still there during this time, I would have been fired or furloughed or let go or whatever. And also I wouldn't have had comedy, which
Mm.
I was making money doing, like, not the, I was making money doing the road, like as a middle, not a lot obviously, but enough to supplement my income with radio. And so I wouldn't have had either of those things. So I probably wouldn't be here at the moment. I probably have done a lot of drugs and have pulled the ripcord on life. But
Mm.
thankfully, I've managed to not. Because honestly, God, like if I was still stuck in Buffalo, I was already like at the end of my wits with radio in 2017 or what. Like I
Mhm.
was, my last couple of years there, I don't know. I got very lucky. I was there for so long. I worked with the same people for so long, which never happens in radio. It's like the program director was the guy that, I mean, he had my job right before me. So it's like everyone just kind of moved up for like 20
Yep.
years
Yeah.
and in the same spot, which again never happens. And so I just started getting, the last 2 years, I just started getting I was so burnt out. I had nothing left in the tank. And I started coming and going whenever the fuck I wanted, showing up whenever I wanted. But I'd get all my work done, but I could do it in 2 hours. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
like I would do some of it at home, or I would like put it off or whatever till the next day and just like come in for like an hour and a half and then leave and just be like, I gotta go do this or whatever. So I was barely there. They had so many conversations with me like, we are going to fire you. And I'd be like, okay. And then they wouldn't. So I just would be like, what's going on? You know what I mean? I couldn't believe it. But
Gonna ride this bitch out.
I know I did more work than I was paid to do. But at the same time, for radio standards, by this point, I was paid too much for them to keep on like a lower level guy.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I mean, radio, God, people would ask me, I'd go on for like a shift. I was on an alternative station down here, 104.3 The Shark. People were like, how do you choose like what songs you want to put on the air? And how do you, I'm
Choose.
like, shit. I was like, man, how dope would it be if it was back like in the late 60s? You're just like smoking cigarettes, spinning records, fucking taking
Yeah.
requests. It's like how it was, getting paid a ton. And that is not at all how it is, and especially now. I mean, I just don't. I love it so much, and I always like if I had an opportunity to go and do like weekends or something like that, I'd maybe consider it. Or maybe voice tracking if it was easy during the week, you go in and out. But even then, it's like, dude, you have to do all the social media for them during that shift and all the other shit. And now, like as you know, you have to wear all these different hats. So it's like, what's worth it, and not because the money just isn't there, unfortunately. And it's a real bummer. But I want to ask you, how did you segue radio into comedy, and when did you start doing that? Because I know you said you've been doing radio up until about 3 years ago, but you've been
Yeah, I
doing
was
comedy for about a
doing,
decade now, right?
yeah. I started doing radio when I was like 16. And I started doing air shifts and things like that. By the time I was like 19 or 20, yeah, I was about 20 years old when like YouTube came about. And then I started like filming like stunts and stuff because I was basically like a stunt boy, you know, at that age
Oh, for the
on the morning
morning
show.
show, I bet they had a
Yeah.
lot of fun with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, but I would video it and then we would cut up the video and put it on YouTube. It was like, nobody was doing that then. Do you know what I mean? I was using like Windows Movie Maker. I had no like facilities. We had like a home movie camera with like an actual tape you put inside of it, and then you put the thing in the fucking computer and it rolls it through. All that shit. Like, and then I'd edit it on Windows Movie Maker. You know what I mean? Windows 98 or whatever.
Oh shit.
And we'd put them on YouTube, and like we would get like we threw a PS3 over Niagara Falls. That was like one of our stunts. And a couple of other ones, like I went trick-or-treating at pedophile houses and stuff like that, like just stuff like that we like in 2007, you know, we're videoing this stuff. And I remember telling my boss, like, this is the kind of shit like we should be doing. You know, like we should invest more in like video stuff for YouTube.
Yeah.
And I remember even the guys on my show were like, the guys that I worked for on the show, Shred and Reagan, they were like, yeah, that's we see that too. We want to have like a 2-camera switcher in the studio and like do, you know, broadcast the show or tape it or something for YouTube. And we were talking about doing that. This is like 13 years ago now, 14 years ago. I remember such resistance from corporate about that. Like, what do you mean? That's like our competition. And I remember distinctly
this is why
having
you lose. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I remember having a meeting where our entire cluster was in a corporate boardroom thingy. And our GM told us that he's blocking Facebook from our computers because it's our competition and we shouldn't be on the, like they didn't, I'm like, no, we're supposed to be on Facebook. And this is like the beginning of Facebook, by the way. And he thought, no, he blocked it. And then eventually, once he saw brands and things like that going on there and stuff, Johnny come lately, then he's like, oh, I guess we have to do this now. And
My B guys.
I'll never forget that fucking Chet Osachi is this loser's name, and I'll never forget it. I want to like just go up in his face and be like, I told you how fucking wrong you were, and I was a child, and you just are like, you are one of the major reasons there's decay in radio, and the reason why it's where it is right now is because there were idiots like you who didn't embrace these new things, and you were running everything. I remember I wanted video. Finally, then after that like revelation he started encouraging the video stuff, but there was no resources behind it. So what I want like a room, you know, like an office where I can film like stand-ups and stuff like that. Like not stand-up, but like, you know what I mean?
No,
stand-ups,
yeah.
like, yeah. So he goes into this back room where we lost, because our sales team was decimated at this point. We had less people. And so we had a whole area of the building that was now just an empty area that eventually I think they were trying to rent it out because they're so desperate for revenue.
Yeah.
But they painted one of the walls. They just painted the wall green. That was their idea of like giving me a green screen. I go, that's not how like chroma key work. I mean, I'm not even good at this stuff. And I know that, you know what I mean? Like I was still learning at the time. I was in school learning that kind of stuff. And then I just that was like what that man burnt me out on radio, like over the years of abuse in terms of like, yeah, we're going to make you full time. We're going to get you benefits, just years and years of that. If you do this, if you finish this task, if you reface I had to do the imaging of the station like 6 different times. And he always then would come back and be like, sorry, I just don't have it. And finally, when he left, I left. Well, first I left. I went to Cleveland. That's how I ended up getting hired. I basically got hired back by the new GM within like 8 months because he was like, well, that was stupid to let this guy go. So
wow, man.
I got lucky.
That's crazy, dude. Because I know, so when did you meet Tom? And was that kind of the catalyst that brought you out to LA? Did you guys meet up out on the road? Yeah. Okay. You guys met out on the road.
Yeah, no, I mean, so like while I was doing radio, I kind of started realizing I'm never going to, like Shred and Reagan, they're still there. It's 2020. It's like, I'm never going to like do the morning show. You know what I mean? Like I have to leave to go do a morning show or whatever. So, but I worked for them for like 15 years. Those guys, by the way, are fantastic and like still do an amazing show.
Good for them.
But like, I just, I was starting to realize like, I didn't really, maybe this wasn't my way to do. There wasn't any more $1 million contracts. There wasn't any more like syndicated shows. No one was really kicking the tires on new shows. So I was starting to go like, what I want to do isn't a thing anymore. So I started hanging out with stand-ups like early on, you know, I'm 21, 20, and we would have like local guys come into the station and stuff. And I started hanging out with them. And I remember one of them, this guy, Matt Bergman, who's like one of my best friends to this day, he was like, why don't you do stand-up? And I was like, I don't really know how. I'd always wanted to. I mean, I love stand-up. I love writing jokes. I write jokes for the show and all that kind of stuff. And so he like basically showed me like where the open mics were and like how you got to do this every time, every day, blah, 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 as many times as you can. So I started just doing open mics at like 22 years old, probably like regularly. And it wasn't until like 3 years later or whatever, or 4 years later, 2012, when we opened a club in Buffalo, that finally like I started really working. And that's where I met, like, I opened for like a shit ton of people there, and Tom happened to be one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like at the time, I mean, he had just got a Netflix special. It was like kind of just started, and people still didn't really have Netflix and shit. So I mean, he was still kind of like papering rooms here and there, but it was like he was about to pop off, like
Mm-hmm.
just selling tickets. Because I remember like he invited me after that, and I've had guys go like, "Yo, we should work together," and you just go, "Yeah, sure, whatever," and then you never hear from them again. And he like never even said any of that, but he went back home or whatever. And then I got a DM on Twitter, was like, "Do you want to come to Orlando with me in October?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've never even flew on a plane to do comedy at this point." And I was like, "Sure." So I flew there, and I did the show. And I remember like after a couple of gigs, he goes, "Hey, by the way, I'm selling a lot of tickets now. So like, I got your travel for you, so you don't have to pay for your travel anymore." And I remember going like, I remember like calling like 3 comics, being like, "Can you believe it? I don't have to pay for my fucking because that's like a huge thing in comedy.
Yeah.
You always have to pay for your, even like, especially headlining, you have to pay for your own travel. Even like people don't realize that, like, you always are paying for your own travel,
Yeah.
no matter what, like
Yeah.
no matter what level you're at.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you're fortunate enough where in this case, like, Tom was like paying my way for the travel situation. And then I remember when he was like doing theaters and shit, and then it just like all was like boop, 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 boop. And he one day just texted me. I remember, or called me or something. He's like, "So when are you moving to LA?" And I never even thought about it. I was never even going. I always thought I was going to move to New York, and because it's closer and I'm East Coast, and I never even had LA on my radar. And he goes, "Well, if you move to LA, I'll just give you the rest of my tour, so you'll have like income." And that would be like more money than I would make doing radio, and it would be steady comedy work. It would be stupid for me to be like, no.
Yeah.
You know, I would be basically turning down doing comedy, and I would be like, I'm going to be a Buffalo middle for the rest of my life. So I was like, yeah, I'll definitely 100%. So, I mean, I moved out there, did the rest of that tour, and there was no promises beyond that. Like 2018 came, and I was like, well, I guess I got to get a job now out here in LA, and I had to find a job. And then toward the end of the year, he was doing like a sets at Brea, trying to like work on his new hour. And so he's like, "You want to come do sets at Brea?" I was like, "Of course." So I'm hanging out with him there. He's like, "What have you been up to?" And I'm like, "I've got this office job. I was doing a podcast with my friend Matt that I told you about earlier, that comic." And he's like, "Oh, podcast. I meant to talk to you about that. I'm starting a studio. Do you want to work there?" And I was like, "Yes." Like, when can that start? Because I was ready to get, I almost was about to get fired from this office job. I was so shitty at it. I was ready to get the fuck out. And he's like, I'll let you know. And a few months went by, and I basically quit before he even like let me know when the studio would start, like when I could start getting paid. I just basically just quit my job and was like, "It'll happen soon enough." And he was like, "Whoa, you quit your job? Okay, well, I'll find something for you to do pretty quick," something like that. I don't know. So it was amazing. It was like an incredible feeling to know that was going to happen. I had no idea it would like lead to me being on the shows or anything like that, but I did learn very quickly at that studio how much radio has stunted me. I mean, you have like a fucking green screen behind you. You have a nice mic set up and everything like that. The technology these days, because of radio never ponying up and updating, I still use Adobe 1.5 to edit audio. And then you put me in front of a new Adobe, and I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, this is like, do you got a 1.5 laying around here somewhere I could go on? Because that's just what I was so fast at it, and I never had to learn a new software because I never updated it.
I gotta say, dude, once you make the leap, it's like going back. It's like, oh God, it's just so convenient and nice. But like, I like to hear that, dude, that Tom is doing that, like, because I think that means that he's paying it forward. I know he's a self-made man, but Joe Rogan helped him out a lot, helped bring him out on tour, and definitely helped increase his notoriety and whatnot. So I like to hear that he's doing that for you. That makes me feel good. I met Tom, God, I gotta say, it's probably 2012-ish, and he was down here. I was interning for Paul and Ron, this radio show down here. And
is that with Ron from Ron and Ron?
No, I don't think,
Oh, okay.
no,
Because
this is
I
Paul.
knew that he was like a Florida guy, but I didn't know back
Yeah,
in the day.
no, these guys been down here for years in South Florida, and was interning for them. He came on, and their producer for Paul and Ron, my old buddy Luke, he had like this tattoo of a cockroach, which I think he might have said it was like a beetle, but it was a fucking like cockroach. And
Right.
Tom really liked that. So Tom was like, wow, man, let me take a picture of that. He took a picture of his chest. And he was talking about, but I had like kind of a really necessary but embarrassing moment with Tom. And looking back, I'm like, of course. But I saw him. We talked for a little bit after, like, he was taking a picture of my buddy. And Tom was a really nice guy. We talked for a while, had a good conversation. I was like, hey, man, I'll see you tomorrow night. I'm going to stop by your show. He said, cool. So I stopped by. I waited in line afterwards, talked to him. At the time, radio guy, I was fucking broke. I didn't have any money to. So I go to his merch table and I don't buy shit. And I walk up to him like, hey, man, how you doing? Like, really love to have you on the podcast sometime. It was nice to meet you yesterday. I got this podcast I'm starting. I'd love to have you on. He was like, cool, man. And
That's just how he is, kind of.
and he
Actually.
just went like, but no, dude, it was exactly what I needed, bro. It was like, yeah, dude, I'm not there yet. Like, what, or even if I was, it was like really presumptuous of me to kind of do, not knowing him that well. And then I'm standing in front of his merch table. I mean, I did show up, support him or whatever, but it was just one of those classic, like, now having seen him more, because I barely knew him at the time. I mean, or his comedy, knowing more about him now. It was such a Tom thing for him to just kind of be like, cool, man. And he just looks back at me like this. I was like, fuck. But
yeah, I can see that happening.
Yeah, he's hilarious. And I actually sent in a clip one time that they put on the Your Mom's House. And I mean, I was a fan. I don't listen to them quite as much as I used to, because they do put out a ton of content, which is fucking awesome. So when I do want to listen to it, I got a bunch to listen to. But just a really good dude. And I really like him, Christina P, man. Like, the fact that they kind of work together as a couple is amazing. Like, comedy, like, couples don't normally work that well. And I just love her, dude. Like, and she's like really intelligent, philosophically. Like, I could imagine
I think even more
great
so,
conversations with her.
What's so much fun, what's hilarious, yes, she is all of those things that you just said, but more so, she goes harder in the paint than like dudes do. So it's like the conversations are like probably more immature than you just made them sound or made them out to be. But I love them. I mean, like, nope, she makes me laugh harder than a lot of people. Like, honest to God, like, I love talking to her, like at dinner or whatever. Like, I don't know, there's like a special way that like she makes me laugh harder than certain people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a different thing.
Does she make you feel seen?
Yes, for sure. But it's like there's this like energy about her that you don't get with like other. I guess you're just like disarmed. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially when it comes to female comics and women in general. But like, yes, there's like a disarming, because she'll go harder than you do anyway. So it's like, you don't have to worry about anything. Yeah.
I love that. So, just because I normally ask some of the younger comics, I mean, you've been in it for a while, but like, what's one of your crazier, surreal Hollywood moments where you were just kind of looking around like, holy shit, I'm like having dinner with like Colin Quinn or some shit, or I'm like hanging out with Joey Diaz, and like, what's like a crazy, surreal Hollywood story you got where you just,
I mean, I guess like, I don't know, I guess maybe a month to me living in LA, I went to the Comedy Store, and like, I always walk into that place with a reverence of, even to this day, like, if it were open, I would walk into it and not be like, I would still like show my ID at the door. I'm not like pretending like anyone knows that I'm a comic, even though they now do. I don't like act like I'm a comic there. I'm just a guy who's hanging out on the bar or whatever. But when I first got there, especially, you know, I've only been there for like open mics, trying to sign up, couldn't even get on those. So like, I show up and I just kind of stand there petrified of making someone like, I don't want anyone to think that I'm like, oh, what's up? I've arrived, baby. You know what I mean? Like, none of that. So like, I get like nervous about that. So like, Tom was like, come hang out or whatever, because he knows I was like weird about going there. and he was on a big show in the main room. And so I text him. I'm like, hey, man, I think the show's sold out. I'm not able to get a ticket. And he's like, a ticket? What are you doing? Like, just come in the back. And I go, how am I going to come in the back? So he like comes outside and like gets me, and he like introduces me to like the door guys. And he's like, you've never been back here? I'm like, when would I have come back here, dude? I've lived in this city for 4 weeks. Nobody here knows who I am. And so I go in the backstage in the fucking Comedy Store at the main room, and there's fucking Judd Apatow. I mean, I don't really care for Judd Apatow, but I mean, like, it still was insane. Like, you know, Judd Apatow's there, and fucking Burr, and like Kevin Nealon and shit, and like just people I never expected to see in a green room all at once. Do you know what I'm saying? And it blew my fucking mind. And then like Bert was there, and like there wasn't like Rogan, but like it was just so many people. And I just stood in the corner like, oh my God, this is nuts. I can't believe this is like Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is crazy.
Tuesdays at the Comedy Store, bro. Oh my God.
Yeah. And then that night I got to go up on that show, which was even more crazy. So that was like, I walked out of there like floating out. I was like, oh my God.
My life now.
Yeah. And then, I mean, there was that. And then we did the Wiltern like a couple weeks later, which is like this crazy historic concert venue. And I honestly was depressed after it, because I was like, I'm going to go to open mics tomorrow. Yeah. So I've lived here for like weeks, and now I've just done maybe the best venue in one of the best venues in Los Angeles that people like spend their whole lives never doing. So now what? You know what I mean?
The Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So there were those. And then I would say right before quarantine, Tom and I went to Vegas for a weekend, and Rogan was there doing UFC, and he like took us to the UFC cage side and shit. And like, we went to dinner, and like he came and watched the shows, and that was probably like the craziest thing. That was like right before quarantine. So I was like, and then all of a sudden, like he's on his podcast going like, this Josh Potter guy is so funny, like twice in a row. I have no tickets to sell. So I'm just like, that's like, I'm like, awesome. Yeah. I'm like, cool. It happened at the beginning of pandemic that Joe Rogan gave me the seal of approval, but it still happened. So, I mean, I guess I have that, but I mean,
dude,
the fact that it happens, nice. But I mean, like, it would have been amazing if I still had my, like, it would have sold out all of my shows for the next month for sure, but they didn't exist any longer.
He's the male Oprah now, man. The male Oprah. Like, I gotta say, that's pretty cool, dude. I like and it is a bummer because I was in a similar situation. Again, I had other stuff going on, but I was like really kind of starting to hit a stride with the radio thing, because I was doing all these comedy shows down here. They wanted me to start integrating them with the radio show and having a direct link with the Hard Rock down here. So it's just built in that I interview all the comedians who come down and perform and shit. And it was starting to look like it was piling up to be something pretty cool. And then just this whole thing hit, and it's like my boss, he's like, yeah, I want you to talk to salespeople. We're going to get you linked up with Hard Rock. And then like a week and a half later, buddy, I'm so sorry. Like, I just signed a contract, like it was just the worst fucking
so you signed a deal. You signed a deal, and they didn't just furlough you. They just waxed your deal. Yeah. But do you get paid the rest of that deal then? I never knew how that worked with the.
It depends on everybody. Mine was strictly because I was part-time technically, because I was doing the weekends, and then I was filling in.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
which was like a lot. I was filling in because I was not just I was every weekend 2 to 6 on the Shark, which is the alternative station, and I was doing fill-in for like 4 different stations.
Yeah, you're like swing guy.
Yeah, I was like the jack of all trades, so I was always pretty busy. And the contract was for the podcast that I was doing in addition to the shows, and that's what kind of got. It was like one of those contracts where, of course, like godly events, whatever. Either side can, so it's a bummer, man. I hate to hear that, but dude, you've got like enough. You got an awesome new podcast now, which has just been renamed the Josh Potter Show. Definitely want people to go check that out. It's amazing the success that you've had in a relatively short period of time. And
that has nothing to do with me. I'm lucky that
you're on your mom's house studios, right?
Yeah, I have the luck of, and it's a different problem than most people have when they launch a podcast. Usually, when people launch a podcast, they have to, you know, gain a following and maintain consistency in order to have that following grow. I was thrown into a giant pool, and now it's like from day one, you better hit the ground running,
Yeah.
because if it drops off or if people hate it, then it's like there's no excuse. It's, you know what I'm saying? So, and
Copy
you know
that.
what's weird about it, as someone who does radio, maybe no one else seems to get this, but I mean, people seem to be enjoying it, which I'm very thankful and happy about. But finding your stride, like, I mean, when you come from doing like 4 hours a day, every day, like 5 days a week or whatever,
You're cold.
you have a couple of weeks to, like, it takes a couple of weeks and you're hot. Like, you're just firing on salt cylinder because it's been 15 shows, 4 hours a day. This is 1 hour a week, and the tapings are sporadic. And so I'm still trying to figure out my vibe here and my stride.
Totally
And
understand.
so I'm hoping that it only gets better is my point. And so far so good. And I hope people still enjoy it and keep coming back. But I mean, it will change and evolve and things like that as I figure out what I'm doing here,
That's the beautiful thing about podcasts, man, is that like you can kind of take people on the ride with you too, and they're willing to go on that ride with you, and you've got a great support system, and you got people say, hey, a big like making sure that people think that you're funny. If you have really funny people who think that you're funny and willing to go out on a limb for you, that just is such a beautiful thing that can help you grow. And dude, you have the chops, man. I know what it's like to have that like an imposter syndrome. I think everybody who does anything creative, when they find some sort of form of success and they're starting to grow, and they're like, ugh, like what's going on? You're not an imposter, but it's that feeling that you think like, God damn, am I ready or am I right for this or whatever? But I think that just makes you human. And I think it's people who think that way that are normally way better. If you were like, I'm the shit, like you said, I've arrived, everybody give me, you could really tank that opportunity real fast with the wrong attitude.
Right. And I mean, I need this. And so I need it flat out. Like, this is a business. I mean, like, this is Tom's business. And if I am not successful for the sake of the business, just like radio or anything else, it's not like you're my buddy, so you get a free pass or whatever. I mean, these are we're paying, there's producers, there's equipment and shit like that. So I mean, I feel that, and I want to deliver, obviously, and I'm hoping that I can get better at it and grow and things like that. Like you said, I don't really have the imposter thing. Like, I enjoy being behind a microphone. It is an imposter thing though, in terms of like, I just treat myself like basically I'm just like, that show wasn't good enough. That wasn't good enough. So like, but I know that I like can do it, if that makes sense. But I don't ever like sit there and go like, that was banger. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm always like, I fucked up here, I fucked up there.
Well, I think that is kind of like, again, that's essential in getting better and having that mindset of like, like you said, it's not being like you think you're a true imposter. You're just like, that wasn't good enough even to your own standards. And if people like that, then what does that mean? Like I have so much more to give and offer, and like you try and get it out. Like you said, you're still finding your voice and like your rhythm. And that's a huge thing, being a comic, all about that. It's like, and
just like the staff guys I've gotten to know, but like, it is still a new staff, and like figuring out how they vibe with everything like that. It's like building a new show, only we don't have the luxury of like having, an entire book to like get good or whatever, you know what I mean? So that's like, a book is like, what, I don't know, hundreds of hours of radio. So
yeah. No, most
you're given that leeway. This way, I mean, in this case, I get 52 hours a year, technically, if you think about it. And so,
no, dude, just keep plugging away at it, man. I was listening to episode last night, and it's entertaining, man. I like that you were asking one of your guys about how do black guys get their girlfriends to buy them PS5s? Like, what is it that makes it where you guys have this special ability? And just little even things like that. It stuck with me, and I found myself laughing about it when I was like kind of brushing my teeth this morning. So like, you are getting in there and getting in people's minds, and it's fresh and it's good, and it's cool to see somebody else and new, a fresh face out there doing their thing. And I mean, I've known about you all, like you said. It's funny, just over the last couple years, I've been hearing Josh Potter on a podcast, like, oh yeah, that Josh Potter, oh that Josh Potter. I was telling the same thing to Frank Castillo when I interviewed him a couple weeks ago. I've been hearing about you on podcasts for a long time, so to actually be able to see like you doing your thing, you're growing and getting better. I love to see that, man. Love to see that.
Thank you. Yeah, no.
And definitely suggest, I got a couple quick things we'll go over before I get you out of here, but suggest people go and check out your stuff on YouTube. There, you got some videos of you in your apartment, because like Tom calls you the human cockroach, and they get into that a little bit. You've got some amazing stuff with Dr. Drew on Dr. Drew's podcast, and so people definitely need to go and check that shit out.
Yeah, it's all in the Your Mom's House channel and the Clips channel and all that. You can find a whole bunch of stuff. So
you ever shit
and we're
yourself
putting stuff
as a
out
grown
every
man?
day. Have I ever? I have actually. I've only when I've been like in bed or something, like sick. Do you know what I mean? Like
Really?
yeah, where I've just been like and then like I don't want to get up. I mean, like it's like
So
a
it
thing
was
where
a
you go,
choice of like
no,
laziness.
no. I was gonna say like it was like a shit or a fart kind of situation, and I kind of like
Oh.
I was like I'm leaning towards shit on this one, but I'm still gonna see if it's a fart because I
Let's roll
can't
the
get out
dice.
of bed. Yeah,
roll
and
the
then you go,
dice.
all right, now I have to get out of bed because I just shit myself.
Okay. All right. It's just something every once in a while I ask, because like I have a story or two, and it's something that people are either, listen, it's been a long time, but sometimes it's fun to like, dude, that's such a human thing. Like as a grown adult as well, very like anybody who's had any type of issue like that, like, listen, sometime, I think the last time that it happened to me, I was on the road. The time before that was at the gym. And I told that on the podcast before. I was doing leg
That'll do it.
extensions, and
Yeah.
bro, my buddy was working there. I was totally busted in the bathroom. I like wiggled in the bathroom. I was peeling my shit underwear off my ankles, and people were like, "Hey, that dude, he shit himself." You hear this shit? I'm like, "Fuck, my buddy's there, bro. Did you shit yourself?" That was probably 15 years ago, but everyone, I figured maybe being the human cockroach that you would have a shit story or two.
Nothing like where I've just blown shit everywhere on my pants. Like that hasn't happened. I can't recall. And as an adult, like I've been able to make it. I've definitely like one time the one shit story I have really is like I was staying at my friend's in Brooklyn, and he had like a tiny toilet, like those like tiny New York City
Fuck those
like
tiny
bathroom
toilets, bro.
So I mean, like my ass isn't huge or anything, but I definitely like took a Xanax, and so I was kind of like out of it in the middle of the night, and I took a shit, and his wife like woke up and was like, I think there's shit on like our toilet seat, and like I had like just left like a little like dollop on like the edge of the seat that like didn't make it in, like
a dollop. That's a good.
yeah, like a little smooch, little Hershey kiss kind of thing. And he wakes up and he's like, you couldn't shit in the toilet? What do you do? I'm like, dude, I was like out of it last night. I'm sorry. And he never lets me live it down. He's like, try shit in the toilet this weekend when you're here. All right.
I'll try. I'll do my best. All right, dude, we're going to talk a little sports.
We've come too far. There's too much to lose. It's not just keep our composure. Playoffs?
Can't do it.
Hello.
All right, dude. It's Tua time in Miami. 6-3. You guys are 7-3 on a bye this week. That hell of a game versus Arizona this past weekend. The ending of that with Hopkins getting that touchdown, incredible. But you guys have the better division record. So even if we tie it up this weekend, you guys are still going to be in first. But I wanted to get into your top 5 favorite athletes. But really quick, just tell me what you think about your state of the Bills, AFC East, and where you think things are headed.
Well, I think it's cool, by the way, that the Dolphins are where they are. The move from Fitzpatrick kind of alarmed me, but then I was like, okay, I get it. They want to like get him out there. It's COVID year, so it's like might as well get some reps. Yeah, I mean, and the guy, I mean, I feel like he hasn't done anything since that game I watched him beat Georgia coming into the second half. So it's like, how many, other than then, 2 seasons for Alabama? It's like kind of whatever. So, I mean, you got to get the guy reps. So I understand it. And I was like, wow, okay, they're just going to not try then, I thought. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't expecting the Dolphins to be like nipping at our heels here. And I didn't expect us to be, I mean, I never expect us to be at the top of the fucking division. I mean, that's bananas. But the way that things are going now, it's almost like this year, I'm like, yes, it's expected. Again, I didn't expect the Dolphins to be nipping at our heels. I thought the Patriots with Cam Newton would still kind of like eke them out, you know, squeak out.
Miami has the Dolphins, the greatest
yeah.
team. We take the ball from goal to goal like no one's
They maybe squeak out some.
I mean, I thought the Patriots were just like still going to be competitive. Do you know what I mean? And as opposed to what they are.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are, and you know, I still think we are going to. I think. I mean, do we play you guys once more? We play you guys. We've already played the Fitzpatrick version. We haven't played Tua.
Yeah. I think that we play in like 3 weeks. I could look it up as well, but yeah, I think we play in like 3 weeks or something like that.
So that'll be a huge thing. I mean, your defense is obviously great. You had that game where Tua was like, what do you have, like 12 completions for 29 passes and like not even 200 yards and no touchdown. I mean, he had like, if you looked at his box score at the end of that game, you're like, they won, but it was it was all the defense. So, I mean, that was just his debut. He'll get better, obviously. So I don't know where he'll be in 3 weeks, but I'm excited. But
I just want him to stay healthy. I just want him to stay healthy.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but yeah, that's about it. Just like more like the state of the Bills and the AFC East, where you see this season headed.
The Bills, I mean, that was a fucking fluke. Obviously, the DeAndre Hopkins thing. I wasn't even mad that we lost that game after that. I mean, like, it was just kind of like Trey White. I mean, I've watched that thing like the Zapruder film. It's like Trey White had his hand on it, and then Poyer came in late and like knocked Trey White down, so he couldn't get the momentum to like get the hands through the ball, and it just was a perfect storm. And what can you do? I mean, that came down to a fucking Hail Mary. And so Kyler Murray is like one of the more electric players in the league right now. We were competitive, and even though we lost, I'm not disappointed. So I think we're okay. I think we're in a good state. I can't wait till we like. I can't wait to see what the playoffs yield. I mean, I haven't seen a Bills playoff win since I was like 7 years old. So I mean,
dude, you know, I was at the last Bills playoff win. I think is when Doug Flutie beat us and the Dolphins in Joe Robbie Stadium. I remember going out there and seeing Doug Flutie run around on the field, being like, "Is that somebody's son?" Like, yeah, right. What Doug is Flutie. Going on? He's so fucking tiny. Be like, no, that's the quarterback. Holy shit. But yeah, dude, that's I like the Bills team. You guys got a hell of a defense. You know, I do think you guys got some pieces, and I'm not sold. Obviously, I don't really like the Bills at all. But I'm not sold, and I'm not sold that they're going to go far. But I definitely think that they could squeeze out a playoff win or two. Sure. And maybe they could go on a run, dude. Who fucking knows? Like, ESPN named the Dolphins as a sleeper Super Bowl team last week, and I was like, oh shit. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I fucking love to hear that. Nobody wants it to happen more than me. The only time I've seen the Dolphins in the Super Bowl in my lifetime was in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. So I don't know anything about that life, and I would like to find out what it's all about. But who knows, man? I mean, the way that the league is set up, there's parity, but some of these teams at the top, they're too together. They just have their shit together too fucking much, and it's hard. Yeah. It's going to be hard to eke out against those teams at the top. But
especially in the AFC, like you got Kansas City. I mean, they just look too tough. I mean, so we'll see. I mean, the Tennessee Titans, who I still think are frauds, even though they beat us, are, you know, they went to the AFC Championship last year. So, I mean, I think we could do it. And
me seeing Ryan Tannehill in that game, by the way, was I was like,
yeah, I bet.
What went on?
I bet it's been weird to see Ryan Tannehill in any capacity for you all down there. But it's just like, here's the other thing that I think is cool. It's nice that there could maybe be a Bills-Dolphins rivalry again. I mean, we haven't seen, like, the years of, like, JP Lossman versus Cleo Lemon really didn't do it, you know, like, back in the mid-2000s. So it's like, this is nice that we can get back to that kind of shit. And the Patriots aren't really a thing anymore. That's the way I like it. And I hope it stays that way. But I mean, I don't trust Belichick being down for longer than a fucking season. But
Yeah, good point.
But yeah, as far as the state of the Bills go, I think we're gonna make some damage, and maybe we'll even get a home playoff game out of it. Even though, well, here's the thing: it'll be the first home playoff game, and we can't have people at it. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, that sucks.
We've been fucking waiting for so long, but such is COVID is what it is, and all that.
Yeah,
So
a lot of those bummers in 2020. But really quick before we're done with sports, and we're gonna get off of one or two quick things before I let you go. Give me your top 5 favorite. Well, let's see. Do you like other sports outside of football, or are you just mainly a football guy?
I mean, I'm basketball. I'm kind of shitty at, but
well, let's do this. How about what? Give me your
I like
top
hockey
5.
and I like baseball.
Okay, give me your top 5 favorite athletes all time. Any sport will do. Any order. Give me your top 5 favorite athletes.
I mean, it's out of order. Obviously, I'm not gonna rank them totally, but I guess Dominic Hasek would be probably number 1, and then I also like Cam Neely, even though he's on the Bruins. But he was always my favorite hockey player for a while. Ryan Fitzpatrick's one of my favorite athletes of all time. He always will be. I'll always love him, even no matter how many AFC East teams he's on that aren't the Bills. Fred Jackson, an old running back from the Bills who played on dog shit teams, but was always awesome. Division III out of College, but always put up huge numbers.
That was post Thurman Thomas.
Oh yeah, that was we're talking 05 to 2012
Fred
or
Jackson.
whatever.
Yeah, what am I talking about? Yeah, go ahead.
He was always he was the backup for Derrick Henry, or not Derrick Henry, Travis Henry. Through through Willis McGahee, through Marshawn Lynch, everybody, CJ Spiller. No matter who we brought in, he was always the second guy, and then he would always end up taking over. Yeah, and then I guess I'll name a baseball player. My favorite baseball player, I'm just going to name a weird one. He's young. He was a rookie last season, but I have his jersey. Aristides Aquino from the Cincinnati Reds, because he came in the middle of the season was over and they just brought him up, and he just started hitting home runs like crazy. He had the most home runs for a rookie in a 20-game span or something like that of all time. So it was just fun watching him just hit not when they weren't even appropriate. They need 6 runs and he'd hit a solo home run in the 5th inning, and everyone would be cool. He wasn't he wasn't a situational guy. He was just I'm gonna shoot this one in the upper deck.
I love it, dude. I love it, man. I think just because I want to respect your time, I want to bang out these last few things so we can get you out of here. You can get to your show
for sure
tonight. We do something called Hater Hall of Fame. So the deal is that like my friend so eloquently put last week, it's more of an exorcism. We try and keep the show positive, obviously, especially in the times of Rona, but it's important to find healthy ways to get that negativity out. It's going to come out one way or another. You don't want to end up like me, myself, and Irene, Jim Carrey, and just lose your shit on somebody at the wrong time. So you got to find healthy ways to get it out. And the idea is not to hate, but it is to feel better afterwards by releasing that negativity. So we do a little something called Hater Hall of Fame.
I hate you guys.
I hate you. I don't even know you.
You're tacky and I hate you.
Josh, what's pissing you off today, bro?
What's pissing me off today? I don't like that I have to go for a 2-hour drive to a fucking comedy show. But I'll say this. I do like that too, because I like feeling that hatred again, to be honest with you, where it's ugh, this drive.
Good call.
I miss that feeling. But yes, no, I am mad about that. What is pissing me off?
You work hard to get that pissed off, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, I hope we go back to a day when I could be pissed off about that on a regular basis again. Man, I'm pissed off at fucking coronavirus, dude. It's coming back and everything's getting shut down again, and people are getting freaked out. And back home where I'm from, people are fucking losing their minds. Governor Cuomo was up there fucking making all these new rules and shit again. So, back home in California, we never reopened. So, I mean, I don't know what new restrictions they're going to put on, because we had nothing open. Yeah. And then you got Governor Newsom out there fucking having a orgy or whatever he was having at an Indian restaurant. And it's just fucking bullshit, dude. You're just annoyed. I'm just sick of this fucking virus. I want it to stop. Dolly Parton, I guess, when Bill Gates was like, I got a vaccine, I was like, ugh, I don't know about that. And then Dolly Parton's like, I got a vaccine. And I was like, I'll fucking eat your vaccine in a second. Like, I'll do Dolly Parton's vaccine in a minute. Like, no questions asked.
Fuck
you know?
yeah. We got that balloon knot and that vaccine. That's awesome, dude. Okay, so you just like, you want to feel the hatred of being out on the road again.
I want life to come back so I can be annoyed by little things again. Do you know what I mean? Like, and
that's a really good.
Yeah, I want to have the joy of like being pissed off at something that's nonsensical, because right now it's like I can't even experience life to have little annoyances anymore. You know, I yearn to be in a line at a coffee shop and be pissed off. You know,
that's great. I love that answer. All right, we're gonna do the mental reps questionnaire and get you out of here.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
Why so serious?
What's in the bar?
What does Marcellus Wallace look like?
What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
Answer the question, Claire.
Are you telling me you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
You want answers.
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Is Darth Vader my father?
For real, Pete?
I want answers.
Without a good question, a good answer has no place to go. It's time for the mental reps questionnaire.
All right, Josh, take as long as you need, but don't overthink it. It's a lightning round of sorts.
all right.
If you could meet anyone, current or historical, and spend the day picking their brain, who would it be?
Osama bin Laden. It's an easy one.
Copy that. Hey, dude, actually, that's kind of a good answer. That's kind of a good answer. Okay.
I want to know everything.
If you had a round trip ticket and a time machine, when and where would you go?
In a time machine too, huh? A round trip ticket and a time machine.
When and where would you go?
Ooh. Man, what looked like a real time? I think I'd go to like 1999 Woodstock when they were like burning shit down and everything like
During
that.
Limp Bizkit
Like I just want,
set?
yeah, I'd like want to just like pop in there. You know what I mean?
That.
Like, yeah, like if I had a backstage pass or something, you know, and be like, look at all those losers. You know, they're gonna have no water later. I get to tell everybody. They're gonna get real frustrated. There's no water out there. You better chill out. Maybe I like go back Doc Brown style and be like, hey, Korn, maybe hold off on Freak on a Leash, something like that.
This is basically in this mud like mosh pit's just like a big petri dish, so let's like work on it.
I think like a secondary answer would be like to go to a Bills playoff game in the 90s, but you know, whatever. I'd like to go to the Oilers comeback game. That would be fun.
Oh, good call. All right, I like that. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
It would definitely be the ability to just put anyone I want in the trance to want to have sex with me for like at least one night, you know, and then they lose it after that. But so
you couldn't abuse it. It would just be like on at least the same person. You just,
I could abuse it. No, it's anyone.
No, yeah.
I can definitely abuse it, but like they have to like they're going to like, the power is that they are attracted to me like immediately. Like, I don't know. I don't have to do anything.
Copy that. All right. I like it. What was the first, actually, do you believe in ghosts? Explain.
No, I don't. And I don't know. I think I'm just too broke. Like I'll never notice when they happen. Or, I mean, if there are, but I mean, I just don't, I don't think that the world's that complicated.
Copy that. Okay. What was go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think you die and then you go on the ground or whatever, and that's the end of it. But
yeah, that's a good answer. What was the first live concert or stand-up event you ever attended?
I can't remember my first stand-up show. I think the first stand-up show I was like working at it, but my first concert was Family Values 2001, and it was Dead Z, Static X, Stained, Linkin Park, and Stone Temple Pilots. So basically, three of those lead singers are now dead, which is crazy.
Holy shit!
Three out of 5.
Damn, that's a hell of a lineup. I like that. That's a great.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. What's your favorite movie?
I can't pick a favorite, but I do love like Indiana Jones trilogy. I love a few.
You know, my girlfriend's name is Indy.
That's hilarious.
You're named after the dog. That's what I always say.
That's so funny.
Yeah. All right. In a world without stand-up, what's your dream job?
Someone asked me that recently too, and I don't have one. I'm doing my dream job. Like, I guess a GM of like a sports franchise, if we're talking like little kid pie in the sky type shit.
Fuck yeah.
But other than that, I mean, comedy's it. Like, this quarantine's been a real test, but I'm like, I always said if I couldn't do it anymore, I mean, that's the end of this. So here we are. Wasn't able to, but it wasn't like a matter of me not being able to. The whole world couldn't do it. So that was a little bit of a different story that I never thought about, but
understood.
Here we are.
Yeah, dude. Here we are. Fucking 2020, am I right?
Yeah.
If you had the world's attention for 30 seconds, what would you say?
Let's say chill out, smoke some weed, and that's about it. Stop fucking, get off Facebook.
How do you feel, man? You think we covered everything? You feel good about it?
I feel good. Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it. And congratulations on the Dolphins being, better than everyone expected coming into this year. And
why, thank you.
I think they'll
Same
build
to
upon
you.
it. And yeah, maybe we can keep the fucking Patriots at the bottom of the AFC East together,
That's something that I can get on board with, bro. The last 20 years has been enough for me.
I'm sick of it. Yeah.
I'm all set with that. All right, dude. The quote of the week. It's from William Feather. Success seems to be largely a matter of hanging on after others have let go. And I think that you're a pretty good example of that, man. You never fucking quit, bro. If you keep on working hard, you keep on going after it. And when everybody else is giving up, that is kind of right there. That is the threshold to success for most people. So just got to give you props for everything that you're doing out there, man.
Thank you.
Keep it up. I do comedy shows down here in South Florida. So if you're ever in South Florida, if I can let me know,
sure.
I'll put you up. Where can
Sounds
people
good, man.
find you? Podcast, the YouTube website, social?
Yeah, the Your Mom's House podcast channel, or YouTube channel, excuse me, has all the podcasts on it. Mine comes out every Tuesday. Every episode or every day there's a new thing that comes out at 6 a.m. Pacific time. And then, of course, it's on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you listen to podcasts, it's on there. Also, my Twitter is @J_Potter. My Instagram's @Josh_Potter. I post dates up there if they come. As of tonight, this is probably my last show for 2020, unless a miracle happens. But, once they start up again, that's where they'll be. So I hope I see people in South Florida real soon. I'll be in Palm Beach in March, probably, if all goes as planned. But
dope. Then
that's not
only
on
like
sale
an
or
hour.
whatever.
That's only about an hour away, so maybe we can get you down here for a set.
Cool.
We'll get you.
Sounds good.
We'll build a show around it, man. We'll have some fun.
Sounds good.
All right, dude. Thanks so much, man. You're in the Mental Reps family now. You're welcome back anytime, brother. Godspeed out there on the road.
Thank you so much, buddy. Thank you. Hey, it's Josh Potter. You're listening to the Mental Reps podcast with Brian Wright. Keep your head on the swivel, bitches.